What's up guys, this is Kyle Fonger from Vapor Hut, driven by you, fueled by vapor, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the Starre Tank by FreeMax. In the last video I talked about how much I loved the Arctic, but since using the Starre, this is definitely my newfound favorite. Airflow's better, flavor's better, cloud production's better. And as I was saying with the Arctic, how the 2.5 milliliter tank capacity just wasn't doing it for me. I could kill that thing in a half hour. The Starre has a 5 milliliter tank capacity. Perfect, exactly what I'm looking for. This lasts at least an hour and a half. With respect to the airflow, rather than having 4 3mm slots around the airflow valve, we actually have 2 giant, what they call Cyclops style airflow. And the ring, kind of like how the Mellow has that little pin so it stops, so does the Starre. So when this goes all the way around, when it's fully closed, it stops spinning that way. And when it's fully open, stops spinning. So you can control your airflow in the dark. There are 2 different atomizers that they made for the Starre Tank. There's a 0.25 ohm atomizer, the more powerful one, and there's a 0.5 ohm atomizer. Right now I have the 0.25 ohm atomizer in here, and check out this vapor production. I'm using this on the IPV Mini 2, and this is at 62 watts. According to the manufacturer, this atomizer can handle up to 100 watts. I don't have a 100 watt device on hand, but 62 watts is a nice, warm, flavorful vape. So now that you've seen this thing in action, let's dive down to the close-up and I'll show you all the parts of this thing and how it differs from the Arctic tank. Alright, so let's go ahead and take our tank off of our battery. And let me dump this juice and I'll be right back so we can take this apart. Alright, so here's our Starre Tank by FreeMax. Comes with a really wide bore drip tip that has dual gaskets stacked on top of one another, so this thing doesn't wiggle at all when it's in there. It's made out of the same 304 stainless steel, something like the Arctic. It also has a Pyrex glass tank, although it holds twice as much as the Arctic. It's got this nice knurling here at the bottom. And it's not sharp at all. It actually has a really nice grip feel to it. It's kind of smooth, but you know where your airflow ring is when you feel that. Let me go ahead and break her down. So we're going to start by just unscrewing the base. And we'll get to the atomizer in just a second. This tank portion can also come undone. So when you clean this thing, you can really get into all the nooks and crannies. So there's our Pyrex. I've found on some Atlantis tanks that O-ring, that gasket, actually sticks to one side or the other, sometimes both. And I like how this one doesn't. You have just a piece of Pyrex glass, and then your O-rings are nice and press fit into the bottom there and the top here. So there's our chimney shaft. It's kind of a bridge. Also has an O-ring to eliminate any extra spillage that might occur or leaking. And I believe that the diameter of this shaft is 6 millimeters. So unlike the Arctic that has a wider shaft with smaller airflow valves, this has much larger airflow valves with a narrower shaft. And I actually kind of prefer this smaller shaft. It seems to warm the vapor up and really increase flavor profiles. So I'm a fan. Also, if you've seen the Mellow, how they have those little cutouts for the windows on the atomizer to kind of fit in and line up with, the Starre Tank has 2 giant windows on either side to really eliminate any chance of the juice not being able to get into the windows on the atomizer. As for all the threads on this thing, extremely smooth. There's no grinding, there's no catching at all. So the construction, top notch. Here you can really get a good idea of how large these airflow holes are. That's not even fully open right there. There we go. Fully open, 2 of those. And you can see why they called it a cyclops. I find myself preferring it either fully open or a little bit closed, like almost halfway. That seems to be the perfect amount of airflow for the cloud and flavor production. Let's go ahead and unscrew our atomizer. Take a look at this guy. Now, unlike the Arctic's 2 giant rectangular windows, the Starre Tank has replicated the style of the Mellow or the Atlantis, although these holes are much bigger than those found on either of those previously mentioned tanks. So, never got a dry hit on this thing, and I think it's in part due to the 4 good-sized windows for wicking. And like the Arctic, we don't have just 2 holes on the bottom pin for airflow, but we have 4. And as you can see on this atomizer, there's actually 2 wires running parallel to form the vertical coil. I've yet to try rebuilding these, but I imagine I'll definitely be implementing this style when I do. Again, like the Arctic, these are very similar tanks. The wire in here is USA made, Kanthal, and the cotton is Japanese organic cotton. So it seems like the sub-ohm tanks that are coming out nowadays are all going to be implementing the Kanthal organic cotton pairing. So I'm going to pop this back in the base and go ahead and fill up our tank. I'm going to be filling the Starre Tank with some of our Vapor Hut Mango Peach. It's a delicious flavor. If you like mangoes and you like peach, you will like our Mango Peach. First thing you want to do is definitely saturate this atomizer. When you start looking into these sub-ohm tanks, just letting the tank sit there and let the juice naturally kind of flow into the atomizer to avoid dry hits just doesn't cut it. You really need to put a bunch of juice in here. And you can even place juice right on these little windows to accelerate that wicking process. Now, once you've saturated your coil, what you're going to do is take your tank. Now, as you can see, there's 2 sides. There's one side there on the bottom, and the other side there on the top. And those openings are where you're going to place your juice. So if you just tilt your tank on the side with one of those openings on the bottom, you'll be able to just take your juice and let it run down. Now, there seems to be a bit of a bottleneck as the juice hits that connection between the shaft and this bridge or this atomizer housing. So you do want to kind of slow down your flow of juice so that it doesn't just all fall down the center and out the bottom. And with such high VG juice, I like to flip it around and then do the other side and kind of go back and forth. And once I'm nearing the top, I'll start to angle my juice more than I do the tank so that I can get it level. Almost there. That's good. You can take your base, your atomizer in it. See how smooth that is? Towards the end it kind of grabs a little bit, but overall, really clean construction on this thing. And then it is recommended by the manufacturer that even after you saturate the coil and fill it up, that you let it sit for about a minute. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to throw her on my IPV Mini 2 and see how she vapes. Alright, so I'm going to start her off on 30 watts. And I'm going to close the airflow a little bit, about halfway. So right about there. And let's see. Flavor's good. It's not quite as warm as I'd like it. I'm trying to open up the airflow and just see what that does. More clouds, it's even cooler. I'm gonna try and take her up to 40 watts. All right, right at 40. And this is 3.3 volts. So if you're using this on a mech mod, which you should never use a tank like this, or the Atlantis, or the Mellow, or the Arctic, never use one of those sub-ohm tanks on a hybrid mod, like the Apollo or the Simple. Any mod where the tank, the bottom connection is making a direct connection to the battery, not good. There was a recent news article about a kid that blew up his Atlantis because he was using such a device. So I recommend you don't use these on a mech mod. If you do, make sure there is some sort of intermediary between the tank and the battery, like an adjustable pin or something along those lines. If you do use this on a mech mod, make sure you're always using a 30 amp battery. So like the purple E-Fests, those are 35 amp continuous, or the VTC4s, which are 40 amp, or the VTC5s, if you can find them, that are 50 amp. Always use safe batteries when you're using a mechanical device. So here she is at 40 watts. Flavor is definitely better. I'm getting more of that peach now. But again, 3.3 volts, that's basically a dead battery. So let's take it up to 50, and then we're going to jump to 70. Alright, 50. Much warmer. That's definitely closer to my kind of vape. So at 50 watts, this is pulling 3.7 volts, which is basically what most of the lifespan of an 18650 battery will be running at. So this is the kind of vapor production and flavor you're going to be looking at if you're using this on a mechanical device. This thing chucks clouds, man. I'm told that this is the first competition-ready tank to hit the market, and I can see why. Definitely a tank you want to have in your arsenal. Alright, now I'm going to take it up to, I'm just going to go all the way to 70. It's a 70 watt device, this IPV Mini 2, and here's the kind of vape I'm looking for. Wow. Wow, flavor, vapor, this thing's got it all. I'm going to try lowering the airflow to about half again, see what that's like. A little warm. I'm going to try and go even smaller. See what basically closed off is like. So as you can see, probably about a 3mm size airflow valve. Really warm. Flavor is definitely better as you close that off. Not my cup of tea. I like the airflow to be a little more of a lung hit than feeling like you're pulling into your mouth. But fully open at 70 watts. She is wonderful. I definitely recommend this Starre Tank over the Arctic. But go ahead and try them both out, see what you like. The biggest thing for me is the tank size and the airflow. With the Arctic, I feel like I always have to have it open to hit that sweet spot, whereas with the Starre Tank, I can have it fully open, I can close it off a little bit. You have more of a range to play with in terms of airflow, which is always beneficial for the user. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this review of the Starre Tank by FreeMax. These things are going for only 45 bucks, so stop in at your nearest Vapor Hut and pick one up. This has been Kyle from Vapor Hut, driven by you, fueled by vapor. Have a great day.